Hi, thanks for tuning in to Radio Memories, 6 o'clock here on the West Coast on Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. I'm Sky Walker, and this is where we share stories about radio stuff, disc jockeys, funny stories, and anything else that's happened to us in our radio days. All the fun memories, especially the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Today, my special guest is going to be Mucho Morales, radio legend Mucho Morales. Mucho began his career in 1969 at the tender young age of 17 in Bay City, Texas, just south of Houston, that-a-way. By 1975, Mucho hit the big time at 610 KFRC San Francisco. And then in 1977, off to RKO's powerhouse, 93 KHJ Los Angeles, where he would stay until 1980 when the station changed to a country format because they thought we all grew up to be cowboys. We didn't. Then he went to KGFJ, KRLA, and in 1986, Mucho's career exploded on the new Power 106 as he went to #1 in afternoon drive. Power was doing major ratings damage to KISS FM at the time. Mucho left Power 106 in 1990 and joined K-Earth 101 in afternoon drive until 1992, and then went back to KRLA from 1992 to 1996, where we would work together, him doing morning drive and me doing afternoon drive. What a great time we had at KRLA. From 1997 till 2013, Mucho was heard all over the country on Westwood 1's Oldies channel, where we would work together again, and he would introduce me to the legendary Bill Drake. From 2014 till 2016, he was the national imaging voice for Yahoo Sports Radio. So even though you didn't hear him say his name, Mucho Morales, he's still been on the air everywhere. And on the phone from his beautiful home in Orange County, California, radio legend Mucho Morales. Hey, Mooch.
Thank you, Sky. How are you, man?
Man, it is so good to talk to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So many people have wondered where you went. What happened to Mucho Morales?
Well, I didn't disappear. I just kind of took some time off and went away and kind of retired, if you will, if you want to use that term, and just kind of hanging out in Orange County, enjoying life, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying time with my family, and that's where it's at, man. But I miss the radio. I miss the listeners, talking to them on the radio, seeing them, out in the community. But, that was another time, and this is the time I'm enjoying now is just time off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, because radio was just kind of fading away. And now...
Well, it's different now.
And now, no matter how many people will disagree with what I say, it's gone.
It's different. Yeah, it's different. It's
radio doesn't
happening now.
It doesn't exist for radio personalities such as yourself.
Thank you.
And you had listeners that tuned in, and they tuned in specifically for Mucho Morales. I mean, that goes back as far as, when you first started, your first radio station, my first radio station, we had listeners that were devoted, loyal fans. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist any longer. And I understand, but it's good for people to know that you're alive and kicking and loving life in Southern California and making all that money because you worked at some of the biggest radio stations in Southern California.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was exciting. It's a funny thing you would bring that up, Sky, because when you're doing it, I think we all kind of feel the same way. When you're into it, you're not really appreciating it when you're doing it until you look back and say, oh my goodness, KHJ, KRLA, K-Earth, and of course Power, which was the highlight of my career in Los Angeles, afternoon drive, #1 of the market, Power 106 FM, all that. And then you look back and you go, oh my goodness, that really happened? I was really there. I was up in San Francisco at KFRC, the Billboard Top 40 Station of the Year for a few years in a row back in the 1970s. And when I was doing it, again, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but I think when we're into it, we don't really see everything that we're accomplishing until you look back and say, oh, my goodness. And you think about the listeners. Because I always had this philosophy, Sky, touch one, you know?
Yeah.
And if that one person calls, man, and says, hey, how you doing, Mooch? It's so-and-so over here. You know, I mean, that was an exciting time. And it's gone now, man. It just isn't. It's not the same.
No, it's not the same. And I got to tell you, I was at KISS when you were at Power 106, kicking our ass, and and literally you had all the and it's funny because you had all the bald executives pulling their hair out.
Yeah, all the suits.
You had literally become the number one afternoon guy.
Right.
At Power 106. I want to step back real quick and ask you about when you got to KHJ, because it was a lot of fun when you first got there in 77, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It was.
Yep.
And then suddenly John Sebastian shows up.
Yes.
And it becomes all music. 93. KHJ.
Get everybody to lay back. Yeah. Well, I think John was trying to compete with FM, and because KMET was tops then, and he was trying to compete with an AM. He was trying to compete with an FM on AM, and it just wasn't going to happen, and the audience just wasn't going to hear it.
No,
and that's just sort of the bottom line.
And sadly enough, a lot of good jocks left KHJ during that time. First of all, Dave Conley, who I had worked with at 10Q, couldn't take it. You know, I think he just one day freaked out. And I love Dave, and rest in peace. And Machine Gun Kelly left, and Charlie Tuna did as best as he could and bailed and went to 10Q.
Yes, he did.
But you did such a magnificent job, and I want to play this real quick clip of you doing All Music 93 KHJ. Okay. And this is, I want to show this, because your versatility, you could have been an AC jock in LA, you could have worked K-Big, you could have worked Coast, or you could have worked KMET, because this is how good you are doing this John Sebastian format. Take a listen.
KHJ, All Music 93. KHJ, On and On with Stephen Bishop, The Tramps, Disco Inferno, and Fantasy with Earth, Wind & Fire. It's 10:47. KHJ looking for you at the beach every day all summer long with some great prizes to give away to you. And you could also win free Coca-Cola.
Mervyn's grand opening sale.
It's available at Thrifty. Record $6.99, tape or cassette $7.99. Sunny and warm today with a high of 85 right now, 70 at the beaches, 72 degrees in the valley, and 71 at KHJ.
KHJ, Los Angeles. All Music 93.
I want to hold your hand. The Beatles, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Just a song before I go, and life's been good. Joel Walsh, Mucho Morales at 11:02. If you'd like to call me this morning, here's a phone number for you, LA in the Valley, at 520-1978.
There you are doing middays, and it's not the Mucho, I know. You know, it's not. The top 40 Mucho, I know, but damn, you sound great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. God, I forgot all about that. I forgot I even did that stuff, Sky. But you know why I hung out there at KHJ? You know why I didn't leave?
Yeah, you're a pro, and you taught me something.
I appreciate that. But you know what? I knew it was going to change. This wasn't going to last. It was going to change, and it changed about a year later.
They tired of Sebastian's attempt at trying to change KHJ's style, and suddenly it went to the rhythm of Southern California, and everything returned to normal. But what impressed me about that is I was at K-Hits, and we were doing top 40, but we were in this transition mode into adult contemporary. I was just a kid. And you know, I had met you at all the disc jockeys seemed to live at the Lenox Lanai in Van Nuys, and that's where I had met you.
I remember.
And I was working at K-Hits 97. You were working at KHJ, and for some reason, you made such an impact on me that when I had to tone down my approach, and I did it hesitantly, but I remembered how you did it so expertly. And without hesitation. And that's what got me through K-Hits 97 in that trend, because we were screaming, you know. Pat Evans, Terry Foster he was Terry Foster on KHJ, and he had left KHJ to come over to K-Hits. You know, we were still 10Q basically, And then all of a sudden they started this adult contemporary bullshit. And Pat went back to KHJ and as Terry Moreno. But because of you, I was able to kind of tolerate that for a couple of years.
Sure. Yeah. You know what? I'm amazed that you found that stuff from KHJ from 1978. My goodness. That's definitely archived somewhere, Yeah,
I got a lot of stuff. We've known each other for a long time, Mucho.
Absolutely. What's amazing is we met in
I've known you longer than your son, than your youngest son.
Yeah.
was born.
Yeah, it's really something.
Yeah.
And what's even more amazing, because we met in 1979 in Van Nuys, and little did we know that someday we'd work together again at a couple stations.
I had the best time with you at KRLA when you were doing mornings and I was doing afternoons. I had never had a better time.
Well, we had a great station, and that was, 94, 95, 96. Back in the 90s. That's
93, 94,
years ago, man.
95, 96. Yeah, that's right.
That's 25 years ago, Sky.
Yeah.
That's how long ago we go back. And we had a great time at KRLA with the oldies, and the audience was so loyal, and they'd come out to the remotes and the nightclubs and everywhere, and it was just amazing.
The KRLA audience, I will say, was probably the most loyal audience I have ever had in radio. They were, the KRLA audience would go every place with us. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you remember Cindy from La Mirada, but she ended up calling me years later when I showed up at K-Earth, and I'm using the name Skywalker, so it's a different name, and she knew my voice immediately, and she ended up passing away, but she was a big fan of yours and mine. And she would go to every appearance that we were at. And she was so devoted. But that was such a great time. And you got me that gig. You got me afternoons there. And I will always be appreciative. And thank you for that. I want to go back to one quick clip to show how great Power 106 sounded, and this is why Mucho was #1 in all of Los Angeles, and everyone knew his name. Take a listen to this.
72,000 watts of music power. Let's talk. KPW Los Angeles. Power 106.
Power 106. We're going to be looking for you at Irvine Meadows this evening for the second night of the Michael Jackson shows down there. Show number 3 is tomorrow evening. Oh, he bad too. Michael Jackson now from Power 106.
Arbitron rated #1 in Los Angeles. Because you've got the power. Power 106.
Power 106, you got Mucho Morales rolling a 106-minute nonstop power play, 106 minutes of your music. The polls close at 8 o'clock this evening. You have a little over an hour to still cast your vote. If you haven't done so already, we are electing a new president today. All right, now let's elect LB Sure with your music at Power 106.
Bam, right there. Oh, mercy. Oh, man, I love good radio.
Thank you. That was an exciting time, man. And let me tell you something. You played a couple of Michael Jackson sets there. Let me tell you something. And we did a lot of exciting things at Power. I can't remember them all now. All the nightclubs and the parades and the listeners and all the parties and the powerhouses we had at the Hollywood Palace and at the Queen Mary in Long Beach. But let me tell you something, Sky. When I think about Michael Jackson, man, in 1989, I had the pleasure of emceeing Michael's last show on the Bad Tour at the LA Sports Arena. And my wife, Angela, and myself got to go backstage to the front of the line.
Wow.
And meet Michael in person, man.
Really?
And there was about 200 celebrities standing in line. I mean, Raquel Welch and Michael Landon. I mean, I can't think of all the people. And they were standing in line, but we got sent to the front of the line because I had to MC the show. I had to warm up the crowd and bring Michael on later. And we got to the front of the line, and, I mean, it was just... It was a time I'll never forget. It was just Michael was so nice, so one-on-one, so sincere, so down to earth. And he shook my hand. He shook my wife Angela's hand. And you know what Michael said to me, this guy?
What's that?
And I don't want to do the Michael Jackson voice. I'll just tell you what he said to me. He said, Thank you, Mucho. He says, hi, Mucho. It's so nice to meet you. Thank you for playing my records. I says, what? That's what Michael said to me. Thank you for playing my records, Mucho. You're Michael Jackson. You're thanking me? I just couldn't believe it. I was so blown away.
Yeah, because those are the people who are truly appreciative. And there are artists. There are artists who are bigger, the biggest, in the industry that leave you little notes that I have found throughout in my time in the business.
Yeah.
That blow your mind, that you wouldn't expect in a million years.
I did not expect that. Because, people in the business, there's all kinds of people and personalities, all kinds of egos. You know what I'm saying? And they're performing and they're doing their thing, their shtick. But Michael, he didn't. He was just Michael. Was so down to earth, man, so sincere. And I went on stage and just, the place was packed at the LA Sports Arena, and I was just blown away with all this energy. I was pumped. It's Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I'd be pumped too, man.
When I was at KRLA 101 doing afternoons in 1991, I did a telethon. It was the Arthritis. It was the Arthritis Foundation telethon on TV, and I was one of the MCs on there, one of the hosts. And Chick Hearn came up to me. He says, "Hello there," and he shook his hand. He extended his hand out to me and said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm fine, sir." You're Chick Hearn. He says, "Listen. I hear you on the radio all the time. You're great, but TV is different. And Mucho, if you need anything, just let me know. I'll be happy to help you out." Chick Hearn said that to me, man. I said, "Yeah, thank you, sir. I appreciate that." He said, "Knock off the sir. Knock off the sir. You're Mucho and I'm Chick." We both went backstage, and that was it. I mean, that was the...
Yeah, see, those are the real people,
man.
Such
a real person, man. Yeah. And he took the time to come up to me and introduce himself. He didn't have to.
And you've always been that way to me and made me feel comfortable, and we've been friends ever since. And
absolutely. We have been the best of friends for, 40 years.
God,
over 40 years,
at least.
Whatever it is.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I lost track. Goodness. Mucho, I want to thank you for taking the time and sharing some great memories and letting people know that you are alive and kicking and enjoying life.
Sky, can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
I just want to let you know that our son, Christopher Michael Morales, is in the business. He's been very successful in sports radio. Sure. And he's done great here in Los Angeles at ESPN.
Yeah.
And he's a force in the business. And Chris started working with me at the age of 8, way back in the day, man.
I remember.
At the radio station at KRF and at KRLA. You remember little Chris at KRLA?
Well, remember you used to send him in the studio. You used to say, "Go see your Uncle Dave."
Anyway, we're a radio family. I just wanted to mention Chris, and his mom Angela, myself. It's been a wonderful experience as a radio family. A lot of great memories, man. I mean, we could go on and on and on.
And it's nice to know that Chris is continuing with the technology in the new scheme of digital broadcasting.
Absolutely. It's a new day in radio, and he's on it.
Mucho, thank you once again. God bless. And let's do this again when you have time. I'd like to touch base again because I know you have a lot more stories to share.
Oh, yeah. Anytime. I'd be happy to, man. I'm just relaxing here, so just call me. I mean, anytime, man. And I'll share some other stories with you.
Thank you so much, Mucho. Radio legend Mucho Morales sharing his radio memories. And thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Join us next week for another special guest, more audio clips, and as always, more radio memories. I'm Sky Walker. Have a great week and see you next Wednesday on Radio Memories.